What's up, what's up? It's your boy Corey B. So, I want to talk about, to be honest, it's a topic that's going to itch some people the wrong way, but it's a topic that needs to be talked about. Let's talk about this inflation situation that people are talking about. And you know what? The reality is that there are many facets to this situation. And to this topic, there's so many aspects that, truly can't be covered in one post without me talking to you for like the next hour and a half. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on one key aspect of this. And the reason I'm focusing on this key first is just because an old friend of mine posted, she shared on her Facebook about this stuff that was posted by someone else. And what they're doing is they're trending information that's false. They're trending information that's false. And the reality is this is not uncommon. This has been going on for decades and decades and decades. But, the idea of trending is just, it's a newer concept as, the masses control what trends. It's what we continue to retweet and share and things like that and copy and paste and all that crap. Then it becomes a trend. Okay, so let's get to the point. The point is, I was talking about the idea of all these companies. They were saying these companies need to stop saying that they have to inflate prices and blame it on wages because this is just false. As they use Starbucks as an example because they said Starbucks is on its way to becoming $1 trillion company by the end of the year. Okay. And I mentioned to my friend, I was like, hey, just out of sheer love and respect for my friend, it's like, there's a lot of things wrong with what you just shared. And it's none of her words. I mean, she just shared a post by somebody else that she considered to be a reputable source. I'll leave people's names out to protect the innocent and ignorant. But anyways, first of all, Starbucks is nowhere near $1 trillion company. Starbucks is right now a $90 billion. I believe last I looked up it was 90.6 billion, but it's just shy of 91 billion. Let's just round it there. Just shy of 91 billion. 91 billion is nowhere near $1 trillion. I mean, it would literally, in the next less than 6 months, it has less than 6 months at this point. Less than 6 months, it would have to multiply its value 10 times, at least. At least. That's not happening. Starbucks, first of all, is on a downswing. And people can blame that on so many different things. But at the end of the day, Starbucks is just struggling in the stock market, so to speak. Okay. Now the fact is I just touch on that just briefly. That first, it's struggling in the stock market. Many experts have done away with many of the big hedge funds and big corporate investors and things like that. Several people have traded off, sold, or switched from Starbucks to other companies. Starbucks is still held by a lot of everyday consumers and everyday traders, such as, I don't know, me and you. I don't know how much you avidly trade. I'm a pretty avid trader, but, I'm nowhere near an investment firm or hedge fund at all. Or a corporate investor, nothing like that. So the everyday people like us, I don't hold Starbucks, but a lot of people still hold Starbucks. Those people are keeping the stock afloat, so to speak, because some of those people are like, oh, well, even, with a recession and the economic decline and this and that, they still believe in coffee. Or they believe in Starbucks. It's fine. There's a lot of different ways we could dive into that and try to analyze why the consumer thinks Starbucks is still a good stock to hold. And why does the corporate and hedge funds not believe it's a good stock to hold. And it's not even that they believe it's a bad stock to hold, but they're all about making money in the long term and making bigger gains, and they just don't see it as viable as other companies. Doesn't mean it's bad, just means they found something better. Okay, so with that being said, Starbucks is not looking opportunistic as far as increasing its stock worth. Not 10x. Just not 10x. It's just that simple. They may increase it. Good for them. More power to them. They won't increase it 10x though. Not a chance. So, just to do away with the nonsense that it's a $1 trillion company when it's nowhere near. There's only so many $1 trillion companies, and Starbucks is not even in that ballpark. Okay, so now let's get to what they really are worth. Is a $90 billion company. And the $90 billion, let's just round it up for argument's sake. They're $91 billion. $91 billion company. They're $91 billion, and that $91 billion worth is not only in profits, but it's also in stocks. Okay, so when you're looking at stocks and profits, okay, stocks aren't... Oh, man. That's a whole topic to try to get into. The reality is when you're talking about people's wages aren't affected by stocks. People's wages are affected by profits based on, like, sales. Based on, P&L reports. Okay, so when you're looking at a company, or let's say franchise, okay, you're looking at these different chains and these different these different little coffee shops, these little different Starbucks all over the country, all over the place. They increase their wages because of demand. Because these people in our society right now are like, oh, well, we're not getting paid enough. We're not getting paid enough. We're not getting paid enough. We're not getting... So in efforts to please the masses, they increase wages. Okay, let's bump the wages. Okay, the problem is, they bump the wages. That money's got to come from somewhere. It doesn't just fall from the sky. Now, if profits increased, then they could bump the wages without any problems. But while profits aren't increasing, you can't bump the wages without the money coming from somewhere. So what you have to do is increase the cost to the consumer. Okay, so I used to pay people $11. Now I'm going to pay them $14. That's a big jump. $14 an hour instead of $11 an hour for a barista. Then you're like, well, I used to charge $8 for this coffee. I'm going to have to make it $8.65 because that extra 65 cents is kind of going to offset the $3 I'm paying him. Okay, and now you, as the consumer, are going to be like, well, that's ridiculous. That's not fair. I shouldn't have to pay extra. You should just pay them more. Where is that money coming from? Well, these corporations have so much money, they have so much money that they could just pay them more and they could just accept less. They built their company. They built the company, they built it, designed it, and with efforts to profit, in efforts to have a yacht, a vacation home, a whatever. Some of them don't even have those things, but some of them do. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they built the company. They have the right to earn those things. And they fought for years. You could go build a coffee shop. Go build a coffee shop. Go compete with Starbucks. Go take them out. Most of the local coffee shops are better than Starbucks any damn way. I'll tell you that right now. I got a lot of friends who will tell you right now, they're like, oh man, I love Starbucks, but man, have you been to, Southside Java or Eastside Cup of Joe? I mean, I'm not, these aren't real places. It's just like the reality is that the mom and pop little coffee shops are always better anyways. So go make your own. Now, building your own coffee shop isn't going to get you a yacht or a vacation home. You're going to have to turn it into a chain. You're going to have to build it, grow it, develop it, get more of them across the city, across the state, across state lines. That's how you're going to get there. Okay, so now if you build it, do you not deserve to have a vacation home or a yacht or a boat or a whatever? Whatever it is you want. If you built it, didn't you earn it? No, the everyday Joe doesn't believe that the corporate tycoons deserve it because that's just not fair. That's absurd. That's what America's about. That's what they're fighting for. Oh, man. Okay, now let's get back to these wages here. With the inflation, okay, you increase wages, you inflate cost, right? So, if we increase their wages, we inflate their costs, then what ends up happening? What's the bottleneck in all of this? The bottleneck is the middle class. Okay? See, because if you've been working, when these places increase their wages, they don't go around giving everybody raises. Some of them do, most of them do not. What those increased wages are for is for new hires, because they're trying to get new people in there. So they increase the wages that they're paying new hires. Then they tell the new hires, shh, don't tell anybody what I'm paying you. It's our little secret. Okay, then of course you don't tell nobody because you're like, oh man, I'm making $15 an hour to pour a cup of coffee. Hell yeah. So you're not going to tell nobody. You keep it on the down low. You keep it to yourself. At the end of the day, you were the poor little guy who's making a little bit more now. But you're still kind of, what are you making? Where are you at? Are you excelling? Are you really succeeding? Or are you still kind of just teetering at the bottom? Okay. Now, what it does is it increases the wages, it increases the cost, and the rich who owns the place is ultimately going to get pennies more here and there, pennies more, pennies more, pennies more. And ultimately the rich get richer, the poor stay poor, and the middle class gets screwed. But yet it's the middle class who's screaming for this. No, you're missing it, guys. You don't need wage increases. What you need to stop working basic jobs. Seriously, start earning more money. Working at Starbucks wasn't meant for somebody with a skill or an education or experience in their life. Working at Starbucks is meant for college students and people after school in high school. Those are the people who need to be working the minimum wage jobs, making burgers, making sandwiches. And I'm not throwing shade. I've done all this stuff. I've never worked as a barista, but I've done everything else. Being a janitors, all this stuff is basic stuff. It needs to be people who are at the beginning stages. If you've been doing that for a while, you should have developed the skill, and you should be working at a big company, managing other janitors, managing other young people, managing a restaurant where you're managing the newbies. It's like, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with these jobs. It's that you need to excel beyond the bottom line. If you're not going to excel, then you continuing to demand more wages. It's not going to help you, because they're just going to increase everything else around you, and ultimately that extra paycheck isn't going to be enough now. That bigger paycheck, that slightly bigger paycheck, is not going to be enough for you to survive. You got to start doing better. I want y'all to take all this information. Like I said, we're going to talk about inflation more. We're going to talk about wages a little bit more at a different day. I just want to touch on this topic because the idea that, Starbucks has got such deep pockets, so therefore they should just pay people more and not increase the price of their coffee. That's never going to happen. That is not reasonable. That's not rational. That makes no mathematical sense to anybody with basic math skills. That doesn't make sense. That just makes sense to people who are ultimately entitled and believe they're owed something for doing nothing. That's right, doing nothing. You going and doing your job, you deserve a wage. But if you deserve more, you need to do more. That's the thing. If you deserve more, do more. I say all this with love and respect. I do. I really do. I hope y'all are going to take this to heart. I hope you're going to marinate on this, really think about it, and let's stop demanding that we get more money for not doing more work, and let's start doing more work and excel to the next level, even in the job that you're at. I excelled in restaurants. My mom excelled in restaurants. My mom went from, shaking fries at McDonald's to being a corporate trainer for McDonald's. No education. All self-taught. My mom did the same thing at Chuck E. Cheese. Just saying. Hey, I say this with love and respect always. Subscribe, ding the bell. Let's talk about it. Leave your comments below. Let's create a discussion. Let's have a dialogue about this. All right, I'm gonna hit y'all back later with some more.